Okay, so let's talk about the Shams al-Ma'arif, the Son of Knowledge. It's been a book that I've had my eye on for quite some time, but because of the cost, um, I kind of put it off a lot. And it's crazy because I paid for more expensive books. So I finally broke down, bought it. I've always been interested in Eastern occult knowledge and practice, uh, especially with the Arabic type, where, like I had a thing for jinn for a little while, went through a bad experience. I was like, okay, like, not going to do that. But, you know, that type of magic kept calling to me for some reason. And it's weird because I'm not really familiar with the culture, and it's very it's a very complex system. Okay, that includes astrology. Astrology is not my thing. Magical squares. Magical squares isn't my thing. Um this particular book is very pious. If you look it up, a lot of things are going to be like, "Oh, this is the most dangerous book in the world," and yada yada yada, but it says it about every grimoire. And the thing is, like, instead of listening to the hype, which is trying to get views and trying to build this mystery around these books and trying to scare you away, get the book and read it. Okay. So, um, this is not a demonic grimoire. This is talking about tapping into the 99 names of God, talking about being clean spiritually as well as physically. This is ritualistic magic, like ceremonial. This is talking about reading the Quran because it's based on Sufi magic, basically, um, which is like Sufism is part of Islam. So getting into that required me having somewhat of a familiarity with the Quran. So I had to buy a copy of the Quran in English translation. There's You have to get somewhat familiar with Arabic because like some of the tables have to be filled with the Arabic alphabet. Um, there was just a lot, and it was a lot that I was not used to, but I wanted to put in the work, and I'm still putting in the work because it's still not something that I'm used to, like astrology and timing. And, I've always been a person who's like, just do the magic whenever and let's see what happens. Gonna disregard it. But because I wanted to really learn this magic, I wanted to respect the rules of it. So, like before doing certain things, I will bathe. Certain things require abstinence, which, was a problem for me before. But I'll get into that later, where it stopped becoming a problem for me. um, I was interested in the book initially to contact the jinn. But then when I got the book, I started off with working with one or two of the 99 names of God. In particular, Albatine, which is the inner, and what was the second one I worked with? Ooh. Albatine and Albari, the maker. There you go. So with Albatine, it's basically going inward in order to find God. You tap into that name, and then you tap into the inner mysteries. And this particular aspect of God manifested as female. Now, the interesting thing about Islam is God is not given a gender. A lot of times when you read the Quran and God is talking, God talks, says we. So it, to me, from my perspective, because I'm not like I haven't grown up in the culture of Islam. I'm just like an outsider kind of looking in. It was interesting and kind of refreshing to be able to kind of just be like, okay, like God's not given a gender, so there's some kind of open space in there to kind of accept certain interpretations of God when you're looking at certain aspects. So this one particularly was associated with darkness, and it's primordial darkness, not evil. This particular aspect of God was attributed to wisdom, corresponded with wisdom. And she manifested as many versions of a woman, mostly a crone or an older woman. For me, there were most times she appeared as light skin, a light skinned black woman. And the reason that I believe she did that is, to a degree, if you're going inward, what is going to manifest is going to mirror you, except for the fact that, like, she was female. But if we are accepting duality, we have to understand that there are feminine aspects from a spiritual perspective within all of us, as well as masculine aspects from a divine perspective within all of us. So basically, tapping into Albatine was reflecting myself. Now, this particular aspect also manifested as a library, a resource of deep knowledge, which was visited by both regular people as well as what I believe are angels, which manifested as men in suits. It was very interesting because there was also some symbology with food, cranberries, peanuts, which have to do with fertility, protection, and just having a lot, resourcefully. So that was an interesting aspect of God. The next was Al-Bari, the maker. When using this, I wanted to manifest positivity within my life. And it was kind of interesting because when I created the table for this specific aspect of God, and I needed help. I'm not good at Sudoku. I'm not good at making magical squares because there's a lot of complicated math in it, as well as utilizing the Arabic alphabet. So I did get help through AI, as well as watching a lot of YouTube videos and things like that. I was using a lot of resources. So I created this magical square for Al-Bari. And after having a ritual bath, was calling on Al-Bari with the magical square in my hand. And so, I got into an argument. And then it was like the argument took a total 180, where instead of being confrontational, it was like we found common ground, started talking things out calmly, and got things resolved. Like, Al-Bari works almost instantly. Okay, so to me, it says Allah God, the absolute, whatever you want to call the main source of everything, right? It doesn't matter if you believe that specific religion, like Islam. Like, I'm not Muslim, I'm not Sufi. If you want to give me a label, I guess, Gnostic, Christian, whatever. I really don't like labels, but whatever. But if you do things earnestly, like, you're going to get them, you're going to get results. So, another thing with Albatine is that, like, life did become positive. I asked it to be a co-maker with me in reality. So it's like, okay, like, here I am. I want this out of life. Come into my life, be a co-maker with me. Bring positivity into my life. And that's basically what it did. Now, the funny thing about Albatine is that I feel like God has a sense of humor. Because you go into this, and I went into this where it's like, okay, I'm gonna do my best to stick to the rules, but, like, I'm bad at fasting. I love eating, and so I went into this mindset where I'm like, okay, like, I'm gonna try fasting. I tried it, I failed. So I'm gonna be like, okay, well, the Quran talks about how God is forgiving, and how, like, if you need to eat, then go ahead and eat. But it really seemed like, even though that was forgiven, Allah was like, okay, well, I'm not going to let you get away with everything. Because with Albatine, I had just got finished using it, and then there was, with abstinence, there was a little bit of temptation, and to indulge in sexual activity, and, like, it totally got shut down after going through a ritual with Albatine. And it's like, no, like, you're going to be clean while doing this type of magic, so that was very interesting. Then you have the Lunar Mansions, and the Lunar Mansions require timing. So in the book, you have, like, sigils, and then you have times that you have to work with these Lunar Mansions. And then the book will talk about how to use those Lunar Mansions, like whether to use certain magics, whether or not. And specific Lunar Mansion that I worked with was called the Nose Tip. Now, this is a destructive mansion where you're supposed to use malevolent magic. Now, disclaimer, when you use malevolent magic, one of the things is that you're supposed to use that if you're using it against people. It's only supposed to be against people who deserve it. Because if you use the magic willy-nilly, like, the way you use the magic is the way you're going to be judged. So if you use malevolent magic unnecessarily, then you're going to be judged for it. Now, when I applied the magic of destruction, I didn't do it for malevolent purposes. I used it for destroying the illusion of this reality. And in turn, got a dream where I was seeing basically magic squares. But one became a grid that overlapped reality that looked more like a chessboard. And it kind of gave me the impression that, like, this reality is nothing but a game. So the only thing that really is relevant is finding out what type of a piece you are in the game. And if you don't like the piece that you are, finding out a way to become something more. The magical squares can also be used to tap into angelic energies. I've tried it once and didn't really get, like, something big. I got more like an impression. Um, the specific time was for Azrael, which is Saturnian. It was on a Saturday. I made the table just out of an experiment. I didn't do the dream work. I didn't put it underneath my pillow like I usually do, but just reached out. And so just testing, I asked Azrael, I was like, yeah, can you give me a secret about death? You know, and so I got an impression of a tree, and this became like the cliphotic tree of death. And so to me, it was basically him telling me that like I already know the secrets of death since I've gone through cliphotic workings multiple times. Let's see. What else interesting? I love this book. I've been having a lot of dreams lately. I've actually dreamt of a certain magical square and utilized it. Like it was a personal one that was not in the book. And the thing is that when you practice this is the Gnostic version of Islam, basically. It's going to give you a lot of things that you don't expect. So, it makes my experiences, a lot of people expect God to be just. They put God in a box. They think that what is pointed out in holy books is what God is. But the thing is that God encompasses everything. Okay. So in Islam, God is all of reality. And this is what a couple of Muslims have told me. Because I'll go and ask. I'll go find a Muslim. I don't care. This is not my culture. So if I'm really interested in it, it's good to ask people who live that life. Another thing is in quantum physics, when it talks about the absolute, which is basically a description of God, it says that the absolute is in everything. It's underlying, it's overlapping, it's within, it's without. It's like what Morpheus told Neo about the Matrix. It's the air we breathe. It's our daily routine, like that is God. That's the absolute. What was the point that I was making? Oh. So, yeah. So, when you tap into God or any aspect of divinity, you're going to find something that surprises you, at least from my perspective. God comes off as pretty ambiguous morally, can have a dark sense of humor, but like will basically give you what you want as long as you're honest about what you want and you put in the actual effort. So I haven't contacted the jinn yet. I don't know if I'm going to. There's also a lot of ways to work with the names of God. That's towards the back of the book, I believe. And I'm working on that too. But I can say that I have seen results. And I will say that if you put in the effort, you will find results. This is not easy. So you may need several resources. You may need help. And because I don't have Sufis around me, I've had to turn to certain things, like AI. I've had to read a couple of other books. I've had to watch YouTube videos. But your effort is not in vain when you work this system of magic. So this is a great book. It's like a compendium of knowledge. It's I wouldn't say at the encyclopedia level, but there's a lot here to work with. There's a lot to get into. It can become a rabbit hole. And that's a great thing. That's one of the things that I love about certain books. And I really wanted to challenge myself because I was kind of getting bored. And that was another reason why I still am interested in Arabic magic. So if you are planning on getting this, just plan on being, setting aside time, a lot of time with this book, and a lot of study. Don't just go in willy-nilly working the stuff. Be serious about it. And as long as you're serious about it and be respectful about the magic, then you're going to get positive results. Thank you for listening. I'll talk to you later.